So hi everybody, I'm really excited today. I have my good friend Tom Madsen here. For those of you who don't know Tom Madsen, well, I think you're going to be pretty happy about this podcast, because when you get to know Tom Madsen, you're going to want to get to know him even a little bit better. Tom, I want to welcome you to the podcast.
Thank
Excited
you
to have you here. Why don't we start out with you just telling us about yourself?
Sure.
How you started out in martial arts, and you're just kind of your journey.
Sure. So I started out being 11 years old, started traditional Western boxing, did for quite some years. Then I changed to kickboxing, because kickboxing was a little bit more distance, so I didn't get so much pounds to the head. That was pretty good. Then karate came in, and karate was full contact karate. So I kind of like boxing, kickboxing, karate all at the same time. I changed, I didn't change, but I was admitted into the Danish national team. I'm originally from Denmark. So I was in the national kickboxing team for Denmark, competed at European and World Championships. I was very, very hard on the body. It was a lot of training and a lot of punches and kicks taken. Due to a time where I was badly injured, I started doing grappling, MMA. But the whole time while I have been doing kickboxing, karate, MMA, grappling, I've been doing Krav Maga, which is an Israeli self-defense solution. And over the years I adapted and changed that solution into something that was more what we're using in our part of the world than maybe where it originally came from. So
you've taken me up to, that's your entire, but it's much deeper than that. Why don't we get into exactly how you have taken Krav Maga and turned it into something else. Tell me about that journey.
Yeah. So I learned the traditional Krav Maga, and I liked it. It was very, very inspiring. I think that many people train it, and I think it's a very, very good idea. However, I remember that we started introducing sparring and contact fighting into Krav Maga, and especially here in Germany, people were a little bit laughing at us, calling us karate Krav Maga, and suddenly they found out, wow, that's actually how the tough Israelis were training it themselves. So we had it inside the whole time. It was very, very important for us to keep it realistic, because I do not believe that you should stand in front of them. I'm not saying everybody else is doing that. There is no solution in standing in front of a mirror or dry training something that already happened. It needs to be chaotic, it needs to be realistic. You need to adapt the whole time. And actually I think that if you teach people to disarm somebody, if you teach people to take away a knife or take away a gun, you must learn how knives and guns work. So I believe it's a crucial part for an instructor to also be able to handle guns in a semi-professional way at least. Because how can you take away a gun from somebody if you don't know how it works? Yes, we adapted the basic principles of Krav Maga: keep it simple, stupid, be direct, all of that we adapted, and we took away stuff that we didn't think would work. Everybody else can train as much as they will, but I don't believe in it. We introduced a very progressive way of training. This means that Krav Maga was built so fast that most didn't have a real syllabus. And if they did, maybe they weren't really progressive, meaning that there are things that are more difficult to train and to perform than others. And what's difficult needs to be taught later, unless it's very, very important. If it's important, early. And otherwise it needs to be taught later, because how can you train it if you don't have a skill for it? How can you make a jumping, spinning back kick to the head as a self-defense? When I was national team, I couldn't do it. I didn't. Wow. And that was kickboxing focused on it.
Right.
Then we have a different set of rules here in Europe than we would have in a conflict situation. We have rules, we have laws, and we need to not only adapt to them, we need to live under them. We can't become a perpetrator ourselves while trying to defend ourselves. There are so many cool sayings about rather carry somebody in a casket instead of dying, and it's all great. But if you want to defend yourself, you cannot run around and badly hurt people unless it is necessary. This is why there needs to be a certain development in progression also in your adaptations of the techniques. It needs to be proportional. Proportional use of force is kind of like grabbing the idea that the law normally have. And this is why there are situations where you need to defend your life at 100%, but where I live, it's not every day that people try and kill me. It's rather that somebody will poke me or they will grab me, or it's far more likely. And I do not intend to poke them in the eye and hit them on the throat, put them down on the ground and kick them in the head. That's very likely not what I'm gonna do.
Right.
I need to control them. And I need to have a plan before this happens. And the plan is not to kill them. That's not the idea.
Right.
It's to control the situation. And this is why it's so important that you need to have your training in a way where you actually have a real goal. And the goal that we have mainly, because of course there are different sets, progression, and there are proportional use of force. But the basic idea you should learn 80% of the time is controlling your opponent in a way that you do not harm them unnecessarily.
Right.
Unless needed.
Right.
And this is how we built the whole program, is that it's very, very progressive. So it means you start in a way that's easy, but you will learn fast and you will progress. And at the same time, it will be proportional in terms of the techniques that you learn. That you must actually know that there are places where you risk badly hurting people and you don't want to do that.
Right.
So you have actually two answers at the same time.
Yes.
But you need to know, do not do this because this will badly hurt your opponent.
And then yourself.
Exactly.
In a legal system.
Yes. Exactly. Very, very, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what because as a non-martial artist, and I take a look at that and I see some people saying that they should do stuff in a self-defense situation when I think, yeah, but you're going to get in a lot of trouble if you do that. Like, you're going to get in a lot of trouble if you actually do, the poke in the eye and the, there's, just because he pushed you. That's also understanding that. And I think that's what I find fascinating, is because it's absolutely realistic. It's not, realistic self-defense in the way that, you might see it. For example, you're not confronted every day with a gun or a knife, right? So,
exactly.
But to say that as well, there are situations and places where you've been, and not a lot of people know this, but on October 7th, you were not in a place where they did not have guns and knives. And where were you on October 7th?
We were actually closing down our bodyguard school in Israel, and we were having armed training inside southern Israel on the 7th of October, and got out right before escalation happened in the area. Yes.
But that's so there are situations where you've been in where you've absolutely...
I broke rule number one. Rule number one is don't be there. In terms of self-defense, and I tend to call it the tactical training. Mm-hmm. Rule number one is don't be there.
Yeah.
If you don't go somewhere where something bad or dangerous might happen, you're in a pretty good place. You got the percentages of your side. I often count percentages in terms to be more safe. We'll probably come back to that later. Mm-hmm. If you walk down a street, it's in the middle of the night, and 5 guys in front of you change the sidewalk. That's what people would normally say.
Right.
I would say, what are you doing 5 o'clock at night at the street? Come on.
Yeah.
So, there are many ways of looking at tactical training and self-defense, but yes, I do believe that a lot is in the head. Don't be there is rule number 1 out of 10 rules, and it's the best rule. And people ask me, Tom, what's your best suggestion for self-defense? It's like, go out, start running.
Yeah.
Learn how to run away. Just don't be there.
Yeah. Well, that's just it.
Yeah.
But on that day, there was no way to.
There was
prepare
no running, and terribly sorry about the situation. We were not there when it happened, but yes, we are currently building up schools in South Africa and in Florida. And South Africa is definitely a place that's got a lot better. It's actually very, very beautiful. But there are still many conflicts going on. But it helps when you want to teach people about self-defense, about tactical defense solutions. You cannot do that unless you have been in an environment several times where you had to think about this the whole time. So if you don't become one with the matter, how can you tell people how to defend yourself, how to think tactically? I do not recommend anybody to get into a fight, but let's be realistic. We're trying to teach people how not to fight, how to, if it happens, what to do. I'm sorry, but if you have never been in a fight, how will you tell anybody? I'm not saying you go out and do it because it's wrong.
Yes.
You should never do that. If you can live your whole life without confrontation of any physical kind, fantastic.
Yeah.
I envy you.
Yeah.
It's super. But if you teach, then you must have experience to talk from. And experience, I read a lot of books, you know that.
Yeah.
I love books, but that's not where you learn what you should teach people. You should get out there and experience and bring experience to other people. That is my favor. I take it and then I also put it into books, but I don't expect people to read a book and become smart out of that. Live your life, get experience, learn to be progressive in the way of living, learn to be proportional. That's a good way to stay out of trouble together with don't be there.
Don't be there, yeah, exactly. So you're opening up schools all over the world that take your vision of tactical self-defense, bodyguard schools. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and where you're opening? You touched on a bit of it, but let's go a little bit deeper, and I want to know a little bit more about that, because this is an international audience is listening to this. They're going to be Americans and everybody who speaks English, or even those who don't. They're going to want to know about this, because this is something that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So first of all, what we are doing is a solution. It means it changes over time. What we are not pushing in any way for people to open schools, but we are there to help and support, and we are doing it in a great way. We want them to be progressive on their own, but we're helping them doing it. But we're not pushing to open a lot of schools and put in here and do this, but there is a big chance for those who do it. It's a fantastic way, and it's learning in a good and in a safe way, tested by a lot of martial arts masters who are doing it in a good way. We are, in Europe, we are having schools, and they are placed in many places with corporations through other federations. We actually a lot bigger than it looks like. Right now we are starting to move into actually South Africa and into the United States. I think that the Krav Maga that we are doing is a lot better for places like the United States, especially because of the laws they have there. Poking somebody in the eye, if you can't prove that you were really in danger, you're gonna have a lot of dollars to put back to somebody potentially.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big risk not to know what you're doing. So this is why that the solution was originally made for like the European kind, but it's even stronger for the US market.
Right.
Because you can fast train people, especially if they have another martial arts background. That will make it even faster. We only judge on your skills and not on how long time it took you to get there.
Okay.
So it means that if you have skills, we'll just adapt them and teach you how to change this. This is the way here, do like this. But it's built on a plan. The plan is to control the situation and not poke the eye, and not giving knee to the head for somebody who is down, and we're not kicking people in the head. That is not the basic idea. But there is a progression, of course. But we are not spending all our time on the last 2%. That is really, really bad. We're spending on the rest. We are also spending a lot of time.
Right.
So we're moving into the US. We are offering courses In the US, that is correct, and in South Africa. It could be anywhere, but these are the places that we are actively pushing into. But we could be everywhere in the world. Just need an email and a contact, and we're happy to do it. We have a very, very strong, of fantastically skilled people. It's not me I'm talking about, it's the people around me who are really the organization, who are ready to go out there. And I think that when people see them, they're going to say, wow, we did not think that this was coming.
Yeah.
And we're approaching, on one side, traditional martial arts school, who never had a real self-defense system. So it could be a karate or a taekwondo school. They will probably be surprised often, if they were not full contact people, how little you need to learn to be very effectively full contact. That's a very, very good tool, especially for them. Plus they have a whole solution for a Krav Maga, or for a self-defense, or a tactical solution. And on the other hand, it could be people who work with this for many, many years, who actually want to upgrade and take it from, wow, this is really where, when it goes extreme, this is what you would do? Yes, these are the ones we can also help. So yeah, that's what we are planning right now. Yeah.
Okay, and you're doing that, and you're also doing bodyguard schools?
Yes.
So which one are they about the same in the amount of effort? What would be about adopting your system in a martial arts school, or having a bodyguard adopt the system for themselves?
The Krav Maga solutions, or the tactical survival training, is very much it's still a solution, but it's done. It's full. This is the real thing that is very good for recreational, which I consider must be like 99.9% of everybody doing this.
Right.
But we do have the bodyguard part, which was very, very largely extended or built inside Israel with the special forces, and actually even intelligence helped us a lot. There were a lot of good people. Doesn't matter where people come from. I trained karate for many years. I never went to Japan until very late in my life, but this is the way it is. The bodyguard training actually is again adapted to where we live. This means that I said before that you must know how a gun works. It be long gun, short gun, an automatic, whatever. It doesn't change anything, but you must know how the gun works. And yes, as a bodyguard, you must know how a gun works. So yes, there is like 15-20% is gun handling and taking away guns in a different way that you will see anywhere in the world. But the real idea about the bodyguard training is tactical training. Getting back, I said before, rule number 1, don't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
So that is number 1. If you want to keep somebody safe, just make sure they're not there.
Right.
There are 9 more rules.
Okay.
And so we trained this very, very intensely inside Israel. It was very, very funny often because I don't speak the language. And yes, we were arrested sometimes. And yeah, happens. But you have to learn from this. People from my crew were arrested. They were, for instance, they stood outside a kindergarten. But they can't read the sign, so now you have an adult standing outside a kindergarten watching like, you get arrested. You do that everywhere, it doesn't matter where you are. Yeah. US, in Europe, it doesn't matter, you get arrested. But he didn't know. But you're learning to observe. He should have seen, this looks like a kindergarten, I can't stand here. They were picking up people from the airport without having a permission. So we have 5 bodyguards. We knew this, but it's a learning process. So we don't tell them. They have to get into their own mess and learn out of it.
Right.
So we had 5 bodyguards, and we were standing on the side, and we don't tell them in the beginning because they will learn. There's a process also in when you protect people, is also to have to do with authorities, and you have to learn this. So they were speaking, it was actually German, so they were Germans. So you have 5 people that clash, talk to each other, walk away and observe. Go to bed. If you do this inside an Israeli airport, you get arrested. That's for sure. But they have their own free cards. They get out. We are officially recognized, and everything was legal. But it was also a good idea for them to learn that protecting people is not only about your VIP. It's about so many other things. And learning that you have to deal with authorities. You're in a new place. You need to scan the area. You need to check the area. It's not good enough that you can't read the sign that it says kindergarten. You need to look and find out. So the bodyguard program is in my opinion, especially for instructors, it raises their credibility. If you want to be a bodyguard, okay, let's go there. But don't think you have to run around with a gun and shoot everybody.
Right.
That's not the idea.
Right.
It's again, proportional use of force.
Right.
And you need to be progressive in your approach towards safety and tactical training also there.
Yeah,
So,
it's well, I'm always surprised when I see somebody advertising their Krav Maga and it's like gun training and they're in, a city in Europe which we don't have guns. And I'm always amazed that that's part of the knife training. And they're in a little village. And that's what I liked about what you were talking about is progression. Yeah, the probability that you're gonna be in a gunfight in a civil Western country is kind of low. And so that's your approach to this. We talked about percentages before. Would you want to touch on that a little bit more? The percentage of how you're going to escalate. You have the first is don't be there. Yeah. Then the next is you're going to be there. Yeah. No fault of your own. Anything quick without doing just on the first.
I think it's very, very good because you're actually approaching a topic which I think is very, very important. My own background is very much physical, and I don't believe in it. It's bad, but I don't. I believe in not being there, having a tactical behavior. If something happens, de-escalation. If you are in a robbery and it's just you, give them whatever they want. They're not here to harm you. They want something from you. Give it to them. Yeah. Just leave them alone. Give them what they want here and you walk that way. Transaction completed and everybody's safe.
Yeah.
That's okay. If there are 10 people and somebody's pointing a gun, don't be the guy standing up and saying, hey, don't. I'm sorry.
It looks good in the movies though.
Yeah, you talked about percentage. Come on, man. No.
Yeah.
That's not. The only time where I attack a knife and a gun is no way to run, no way to escalate. I cannot give them anything. They are definitely hurting me or my family. I'm sorry about the rest of the world. I can't save everybody. You are hurting my family or me. Then I will become physical, and I spend a lot of time being physical. But this will be a very, very small percentage. Like you said, we are right now in Europe. There are no guns here.
Yeah.
So when people say, Tom, can you teach me about disarming? I say, sure. I say, can we skip the hand grenades? Because really, it is nice, but you're not going to be in a situation where you're going to grab a hand grenade. Okay? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And if they have a bomb on them, if they're carrying a mobile bomb, there will be special people saying, it's not going to be you.
Yeah.
So we are down to guns, and even there I say, it's fun. So let's train it for fun, because it will teach you a tactical approach. Because I generalize, and I shouldn't, but I'll do it anyway. People tend to grab the gun and want to take the gun away. But guns are like hammers. Guns don't hurt people. People hurt people.
Yeah.
So out of a tactical approach of learning how to defend yourself, it is okay. And I don't mind, it's actually fun. And we do it in a very, very different way than everybody else I've met on my way training it, because I have another background. I learned from everybody and took the best. I stole it from them. So it's not mine.
Yeah.
I just stole it from them and made it in another way and made it better, I think. And people I showed it to things. So that's the gun arming part. I think that it's a learning and it's a tactical part. When it comes to knives, I really, really hate knives, because it's very, very likely, in a bad sense, that you will bleed, that you'll be wounded, that it will be stupid if you have a fight with a knife. What we did was that we actually approached the police in Denmark and said that we were interested in finding out what's really used when a knife is used. How is it used? Who is it used? When is it used? Where is the attack? And to our big surprise, the police said, great idea, let's do that. Because everything we know is something that is very, very old, and it's not cross-checked. So they will have, it was this many attacks, it happened at this time, but not, it was a man who attacked at 11 o'clock, and it was in a bar, and it was not a knife, it was a screwdriver. So you need to crisscross it, so that you know what's actually going on. We got 100 cases from the police, and we actually went to the hospital in Copenhagen, and they were open and friendly and said, wow, now that's interesting, of course we'll help you, but no names. So only the result, what happened. So we made an analysis and found out, when are you being attacked, by what, by whom, why. And the funny thing is, getting back to rule number 1, don't be there.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday until 10 o'clock, you're doing fine. Bad news is that unless it's drugs related, it's not going to be a stranger. It's going to be your wife, your boyfriend, your best friend. Knife is an emotional weapon. And that means, unfortunately, it's very likely it's going to be people that you know. So, in Denmark, you cannot carry a knife around. They are allowed to put you in jail for 1 month. Basta.
Okay.
You cannot carry a screwdriver around unless you have a working tool, or it's after 6 o'clock. They are allowed to put you in jail for 1 month, no question asked.
Wow.
So they don't have this. Of course, the knife that's being used is a kitchen knife.
Right.
On the contrary to a gun, who doesn't exist in our world, the accessibility to a knife is so much higher, but it's actually not people running around with knives. That's not what's happening. It is actually in the household, it's domestic violence in most cases, or people are drunk, or drugs, or they are intoxicated, or it's close family. So we do not have this that we are actually trying to defend against in Krav Maga. I'm not really sure that it really exists. Not a good sales point, I know. But it still means that you can do something about it.
Yes.
Because, like I said before, there's no need 5 o'clock to walk through the streets. Now, if you are at a party or you're somewhere else, you already before make sure a car and a friend comes and pick you up, or a cab driver or whatever, with your name.
Yeah.
You do not need to be there. Defending yourself is not about taking away the gun or how to stop the knife attack. It is about not being there. It's not happening. When you know about this, okay, it's going to be Friday evening, Saturday night, this is the issue, it's drunk people, unless you're drugs related, so just don't do drugs and don't trade drugs and you're fine. It's another percentage out.
Right.
You're doing fine. And for the rest of it, yes, we train it, we learn it, we know how to do it. Now I said before that a knife, just like, no I didn't say, I said a gun is like a hammer, and a knife is the same. The knife doesn't hurt you. So if you defend against the knife, it doesn't make too much sense to focus on the knife. Don't worry, I know everybody hates me now, but it's okay, I can live with that. It's not the knife that's hurting me, it's the person. So defending or deflecting a knife without attacking, that's for me pure stupidity. I remember I came to the German military, and they were showing me what they were doing, and I said, what do you do if somebody can? They said, yeah, we block like this. I don't have a problem with it, it's okay. I said, wow, so this means I have a knife and now I cut you, and now you do what? Yeah, I stay like this. And I don't mind, I'm just saying, yeah, but what changed compared to before? What do you mean? I say, you are bleeding, maybe badly, on both arms, and nothing changed besides that you're bleeding and the guy still wants to cut you up.
Right.
So you need to attack. Yeah, but I say, yeah, but what you're saying is that you didn't not be there, you didn't run away, you didn't de-escalate, and now there was a physical confrontation. And the physical confrontation was that you got caught, and that's it. And now you're at that point, you have to attack. Yeah, but he could stab you. He can stab you anyway.
Exactly.
So you need to attack. So as soon as weapons come in to the equation, it becomes a total new tactical thought that you need to have inside your head. There are no limits off anymore. There is no judge in the whole world that will say you are not allowed to defend you against a knife or a gun. I don't even believe in eye poking anymore. If I can, the knife's going into that person to defend myself or my family if I cannot run away, if I cannot de-escalate, if I cannot not be there. Don't pull a weapon because you choose this. So if I can, I will just get away, and if not, all limits are off.
Yeah.
And that's something you need to get into your head. That is, are you really willing to do what needs to be done?
Well, that's the thing. I find martial arts amazing because we'll have this situation, and I'll watch a YouTube video or a Facebook or Instagram, and they'll be all showing you how they're going to get the knife out of the guy's hand, with this movement. And I'm thinking the whole time, thank goodness that's plastic, because that's why your focus and the way you guys are doing it is also I know that there's a lot of other people out there who their social media is just blowing up.
It's good. It looks great.
It looks great.
I want to see it in movies too.
Yeah, I want to see the movies too, and that's exactly what I'm saying. And that's why discussing with you is also an issue. And so you have different grades of instructors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So talk a little bit about because Krav Maga doesn't really have belts. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of people can say that's Krav Maga. We know that.
Everybody can say it.
It's not a word, it's not Wing Chun.
Everybody can say
Everybody can say Krav Maga.
Yeah.
And so we'll have people, as you know, who are not doing Krav Maga, or saying they're a Krav Maga instructor. I've even seen people come from Israel over, and I'm like, really? Okay, so let's talk about your levels of instructors and how you take your and how long that takes as well.
Yeah. So basically, the basic idea about an instructor or a grade is that we don't care how long you train. We're only interested in your skills. If you train for 10 years, you're probably going to get your next belt. That's not it. But basically, we're only interested in what is your skill. So this means that if you train jiu-jitsu and karate for 200 years, it's likely you're going to be a lot faster than somebody who golfed their whole life. You will have the physical capabilities. You might even have tactical ideas about how to do this. So the basic idea is that skill prevails. When that is said, we have a progressive solution from I don't know anything until I know a lot and I want to know a lot more, until I want to be the best and I want to know everything. It's not possible, unfortunately. This is why we don't call it a system, we call it a solution. Because when you come up with a good idea and it's better than mine, I steal it from you and I put it into the solution to make sure that we have the best solution for everybody.
Yeah.
So this is the way the basic idea is built. So I think that first of all, we do use belts actively in Krav Maga, and we also have black belts, and they continue. So the issue about belts is that when the person who makes the syllabus or the group who makes the syllabus needs to make it proportional and even more progressive. Maybe progressive is a better word for it. Progressive in this turn, it's a lot easier to punch like this than it is to punch like this and turn your hip, and it's even more to go like this and turn your foot and take the weight this way, and your arm needs to be like this. It is a lot more difficult than straight, as an instance. A spinning, jumping back kick to the head, I don't even see that as an option in self-defense. I was national team kickboxing for many years. I never knocked out anybody with that technique, for sure not. So I believe that the belt solution is that in the beginning, somebody who does not have too much experience about martial arts or Krav Maga, they will have to learn how to do simple things. You will need how to walk in the right way. You will have to learn how to punch straight, kick straight, maybe a roundhouse kick. When that is done, you move to techniques that are a little bit more refined. And when you're done, you refine even more and more so that you get more techniques, but not too many. We are actually trying not to have too many techniques, because if you have too much and you get under stress, you don't know how they work.
Right.
I've seen very, very skilled black belts doing stress training, and what they learned their whole life, and these guys could probably beat me up in a second. But as soon as stress comes in, brain is off. So you need to have techniques that work under stress, and you have tested that you can do that. This is why stress training needs to be in Krav Maga the whole time. I cannot tell people what is Krav Maga and what is not, and what is tactical training and what is not. I can only say what, in my opinion. And if you don't do stress training, this can be darkness, lights, it can be sounds, it can be pushing, it can even be punching you. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to pull off the techniques that you trained your whole life. So this needs to be in a progression that gets more and more and more, but the techniques does not. Only your skill level gets better. So the bell starts with the very, very simple skills, techniques you need to learn. Your physical training needs to adapt. So in the beginning, we do not demand too much. And then you need more skills, and they must be more perfect. They're going to be more difficult as you progress through the system or the solution. Until you get a black belt. When you're black belt, we will tell you 90% of how the techniques work and what's better. And it will even be like this, that we will teach you something about a lock as a yellow-orange belt. That's the first belt. And then we'll take it away from you later and say, we taught you this, and this is because it's easy, but there are problems here as soon as they have a knife. So don't do that. So we can see the way people train and what they're doing, approximately what level they have. If you are skilled and you learned all of this very, very fast, there are people who train 7 days a week, 2 times a day. They learn faster than people who come to training every 2 weeks. So when people ask me, how many years do I need to have trained before I get this belt? I don't care.
Yeah.
If you are skilled, you are worthy of it. Krav Maga, in my opinion, is not like in karate that you need a certain level of understanding of everything. No, you need to have a certain level of technique, of self-defense, of tactical understanding. That's what you need. When that is said, we used to be a little bit tough on the black belts. A little bit too tough, I admit that. But the result was, and it's still, if we still have very, very good black belts that are coming out, but we have had the most experienced instructors from Israel coming up to our gym training, and they came in and they said, holy crap, what is this? I said, these are my guys. This is how we train. And they saw what we train, and they said, let's talk about theory. And I love what they were doing. That's not it. But you cannot expect to be able to pull off a real self-defense solution if you don't train. It's not possible. And you need to make your body endure. It needs to be strong, and you need to be able to keep going for a while, and you need to train your mind to work with the stress, to keep an open mind the whole time. Like I said, the process of defending, of taking care of yourself, is to watch your surroundings. I do not consider number one to be like this. It's not punching, it's looking around and making the right choices. Number one rule, don't be there.
Right.
Yeah. So the education is very, very progressive. But when you know your stuff, and that's it, you continue. And the same goes for a black belt. We often repeat that when you make an education, you get a certificate that says you understand. And then you come back one later and you redo it. And then you get the real certificate that said now you can show and understand, and you can teach others. But there's no reason to hold people back who are skilled.
Right.
No, there's no reason to hold back. Yeah, you have not been training for 10 years. No, I have not. But I did train karate and jiu-jitsu and taekwondo and Wing Chun, and I probably forgot kung fu and MMA, and so he did acquire the skill. He does understand, or she, or he, she, it is, whatever. It's important that people who know their stuff, they must be brought in. We must use what they learned new. We must, if we did not succeed to go as fast in training as we could, we must adapt. He, she will tell us, but here this wasn't okay. We need to adapt. We need to do better. And a constant critical voice towards yourself will make the result to the students and the masters a lot better.
Well, I think that's very comprehensive, and that's that's why I really wanted you on the podcast, because this is, you actually take a realistic approach to realistic situations. And not only you, but your family is also very involved in martial arts. So let's just quickly touch on that.
Especially my wife and my two boys, they are mainly into to Krav Maga and martial arts. The truth is that they are not only training Krav Maga, and it's a weird family I am, or we are, all of them will be able to do knockdown karate, kickboxing, Thai boxing, Krav Maga, grappling, MMA, shooting. They will all know all of it, because that's part of the journey that we are doing in life, and it's important to have fun about it. That's the most important thing, and for us it has been a way to have fun wherever we go in the world. So
I cannot imagine your family always. I'm sorry, but I want to hear about it.
So both my boys are in Krav Maga terms. They are they will take away any instructor they meet on their way. They are 17 and 20 at the moment, and have a fantastic knowledge about what they are doing. They grew up with everybody else who was being taught, and they know this. The younger one was number 3 in the world in MMA, and the older one was number 5. He's still fighting in the national team. So these guys are training the whole time, and like you said, realistic approach. So it's not like you can do like this. No, he's gonna punch you. He's gonna throw you. So we all these we've checked it. We double checked it. We triple checked it so that we know it's gonna work. Crazy is in the German language a very nice word, because it doesn't mean crazy. It means that you are different. You are not like everybody else. And she is a little bit crazy. She's a fantastic. She actually has a kindergarten. She has a master's in pedagogic. It's called like this in English, I think. So as an education in her work, she's a very, very social person. Then she learns kickboxing, knockdown karate, everything I said before. She learns this. She's actually she's teaching automatic rifles in the bodyguard training. She doesn't look like she's a pretty little girl. She's smiling very, very nice, but she is. And what she did was that she made again a tactical solution for kids. And she brought in the whole resilience idea, that you need to train your mind to adapt to the world you're living in. And she's very, very good at this, and she has some excellent programs with kids. She's also doing adults, but with the kids she's so massively good at it. I think that from being an old guy who used to do tradition, I actually think that bringing kids to martial arts was super, because they learned to sit down, shut up, listen, which was actually, you couldn't pay for that. That was fantastic. But the truth is, in terms of defending yourself, I like kids too. We have training in our house every week, but it's not like I'm really scared of a 10-year-old who might defend himself, unless he went to my wife's training, because kids should not primarily punch or kick their way out.
No.
So I'm a 10-year-old kid, I'm grabbed by Lance, and I try and punch, and you will say, that's funny, I'm gonna grab you and take you away. don't think, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Now, but if you would, if you would say, Mister, who are you? Why are you grabbing me? Instead of saying, don't hurt me, don't take me. If you say, Mister, who are you? What are you doing? Then everybody will turn around and say, okay, it's not the dad who's taking the kid. So it's a learning process. It's again learning not to be where you're not supposed to be.
Right.
It's a learning not to go where you're not supposed to go. But it's also learning how to get help. And while as an adult you can punch and kick your way out, or think you can, as a kid, it is very much like I said before, the intelligence training, how an intelligence works and how they work. That's the way kids must work, because they must have the world help them. A kid must learn to react the way I just said before. They must learn that what I'm going to tell what they must learn, but when I was a kid, I was taught, do not talk to strangers, which is wrong. Of course I need to talk to strangers if I want help. Do not let strangers approach you. But if a bad person wants to do me something, I need to go somewhere and ask for help, because I can't handle it myself. So they need to learn to go and ask for help. And this is something you have to teach them. The generation we have now is a fantastic, these are wide young kids with a lot of dreams, and they are inspiring, and they are laughing, and they are having fun. But the reality that many of them spend a lot of time on computers and telephones and the internet makes them sometimes in a situation where they are not used to talking to strangers. They are not used to asking for help, because they can just push a button and here and I'll fly 200 circles and then I get away from the dragon, but this is not it. You need to get out there. You need to be able to ring the doorbell and say, Mrs. Miller, I don't know where my parents are and I lost the key, and can you help me? Or you're in city center. When I was a kid, I had a necklace with my name and the telephone on, because I was too stupid to know my name and the telephone number of my parents. But also today, kids need to learn that it's okay to go into a store. They are working there. And if you go to a human being and you say, I don't know where my parents are, they will help you find your parents. They will call the police or
It's
whatever.
not likely they're going to get, oh, super, this perfect kid to abduct.
Yeah, you know, that's it.
Exactly.
That's it. And this is why you need to teach kids this. It's important. and Lena, that's the name of my wife. She's bringing all of this together. She's working with the universities and professors, and she's like making this a real big deal and teaching about it and educating instructors about this so that they go out and teach in another way. I'm not saying it's wrong what was done before. I'm just saying she's teaching it in another way, and it's mostly based on resilience, and it's not a physical encounter. It's a mental, it's a tactical approach instead. So yeah, she's doing fantastic. Actually, I think that her journey within our solution is so much more. It's actually just so much more than the other ones. These are adults who learn, and the other ones that's a process, and we know how it works, and we know how to get better. But kids are creative. They are thinking. They are crazy, but in a good way, like I said before. And this is why I actually, that area is for me the biggest area. That's the most interesting area, because it's a new way of thinking how to do martial arts.
That's and at what age should they be starting that program?
I think Lena has taken them in 3-4 years. Yeah. So it's actually made this way that the club that we have, we cannot take in more. We cannot. We can instruct. We can educate more instructors than they can make their schools and take in everything that they want to take in. But we're just full. And if we would open a new class, it would just be full immediately. And the thing is, yes, the kids need to make push-ups, and they need to run a little bit, and they need to physically, and they need to fight with each other, but in a sparring way,
right,
and in a playful way. But yes, they need to. It is okay. You cannot have your kid bring your kid to kindergarten in school and expect them never to have a confrontation. They will.
They will.
For sure.
100%.
So teach them how to do it. And also teach them how to de-escalate. Teach them to stand above when people provoke you.
Right.
And also teach them not to provoke others.
Well, that's just it.
If they want to have their emotions out and they want to physically confront, do it at the training where it's in a safe environment. It's okay. I admit, like everybody else, I also can get angry. I try not to be, but I have 5 punching bags in my cellar. They're my good friends on base. It's happened.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's a lot better to walk around smiling 99% of the time and just know how to channel everything else than run around being grumpy or not fulfilled in your life. So just build it that it's good for you.
That's on that note, I'm gonna say because there's so much more. I could sit and talk to you for 8 hours.
Yeah, same.
And because it's just so fascinating. But I want people to, because I've invited Tom here because he's not the guy out on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook, and he's not doing, and his program is pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Tell the people how they can get in touch with you. What is your social media? I know you have a website.
Yeah, you will find us on www.kravmaga /survival.com. Krav Maga is Krav.
Yeah.
I'm a foreigner.
Yeah.
MAGA
Yeah.
/survival.com.
We'll blend that in.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
That's probably the easiest way. You can also send us an email. That will be info@
Right.
and the same ending.
We'll put that there.
That's probably the easiest way. We come everywhere in the world. I'm used to traveling everywhere.
And you like it?
I like it a lot. I've trained Spetsnaz in Russia. I've trained in Israel. I've trained in South Africa, Europe, everywhere. To Japan, a lot of exciting places, and I love seeing people. I love getting out there. And the funny thing about martial artists is, like you said in the beginning, everybody's smiling and funny, and they just want to have a good workout with each other, learn from each other. I learn wherever I go, and I'm happy to go wherever it's needed. So we are close. We are wherever you are. We will be there as well. So yes,
it's great. Once again, thanks. Really
thank you,
enjoyed having
Lance.
you on the show.
It's been an honor being with you.
And see you next time. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.